All right, we'll get it started. Work session discussing possible city hall relocation. Looks like we have someone put this nice little presentation together for us.
Well, it's nice and subjective, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, kind of just to begin the conversations on this, commission asked to review some of the, I guess, the pros and cons, if you will, of the city possibly relocating to the county's building across the street here. And the county is very, I'm just silencing my phone here. The county is very interested, obviously, in this arrangement. We believe initially the thought process was that there was cost savings to be had, and we still think there are significant cost savings. However, as we get through this presentation, some of those cost savings are, I would say, diluted by the fact that what we would do with this building after the fact. So we'll talk about that. Just to start off, kind of just to let you know, and just to let those individuals in the community know, the city attorney has reviewed and approved to form the lease agreement that was proposed to the city by the county counselor. What's the gentleman's name? Justin Meeks. And he has not found any concerns with the contract as provided. So he reviewed it, had no concerns. He would love to be here today, but he had an unfortunate family health emergency, or death in the family, I should say. Hope I'm not going too far by saying that, but he couldn't be here, otherwise he would be. All commissioners have also received an electronic copy of the proposed lease, as well. Additional attachments in terms of the county building layout, copy of the contract, et cetera, have been provided, and some are actually inside of this presentation. So, kind of going through some of the lease highlights, some of the things that I thought would be worthwhile to point out is that the lease proposed from the county is for a period of 10 years. That would be from September 1st of 21 to September 1st of 31. And at the end of that term, we would have a 6-month option of renewal. The city would be asked to waive all water and sewer bills for the county building. And in a further slide into the presentation, you'll see what those sewer and water bills amount to. So from July 1 to June 30, we kind of looked at a total amount. Is that correct, Susan? Did we look at July 1 to June 30, or did we do a calendar year for the county?
Yeah, it's a calendar year. It's
okay.
January.
Oh, so January, excuse me, January to December. The county is on a calendar year, as well as the city. And as I understand it, the school is actually on a fiscal year, so they're the only ones that are a bit different. But we did calculate that, and again, we'll get to that when we throughout the presentation. We also looked at the phone service and the internet that's paid for by the city in its current location versus what we expect the savings would amount to in our new location. And in terms of continuing the discussion of the proposed lease, there will be no modifications, alterations, or additions or remodeling without prior written approval from the county. That prompted one question for me is, if and when we decide to stick a sign above the building that says City Hall, City of Fort Scott, would we be allowed to do that? And I've already discussed that with the county, and I've been told that there will be no issues with that. So that was my only question as far as that portion of the contract. The city was also to maintain an insurance policy to cover general liability for its employees up to $1 million, which is currently something that we already do, so that would not change. So looking at the contract, I tried to do my best to poke holes in it as if I were making a decision on this. In the event that a future commission or the city wants to dissolve the lease, the county would have the right to buy out, or the city would have the right to buy out the county for 6 months of rental payments, or the equivalent of roughly $6,000. The proposed rental cost being $1,000 per month. On the next slide, you can kind of see the utilities, and I'll let Susan, as she's more knowledgeable about these numbers, speak to that.
So these were numbers that we pulled, early at the beginning of the year. It's roughly about $500 to $5,500 for gas and electric in this building. However, later on in the presentation, he's going to talk about the use of this building. So those dollars would not really be saved because we would still continue to operate something in this building. Memorial Hall, there are significant costs there. And I do think that that's a discussion in itself where you could have some cost savings as well. There was a hedging contract this year that caused our gas to actually be a lot higher for Memorial Hall. And so there are a lot of things that we need to do over there as far as that's considered. The amount for 2020 of water service for Bourbon County was $6,200. That's been pretty standard, and so that's about the amount of money that you would forgive, or as we would say, we would be in that facility, and so as a government entity, we do not pay for water that we process. So it'd just be considered a city account. No, we do not. They get their internet free. We do not, but we have an 18-month contract, and that 18-month contract would when it's up, we have the ability to renegotiate it. Right now, it's $30,000 a year that we're paying. We do think that we can cut that in half, so there could be significant savings there. But again, it's not until after that 18-month contract is up.
Do you know when that is?
I think we still have 18 months left on it. So, and then the next page is Tyler Technologies. I think that was originally put in our presentation just to show what we're having to pay in costs over the last 3 years. If we were to go back to our old platform that we used to be on, Data Team, CIC, that is what the county uses, and so if we could potentially find savings there by going back to that system and having one user license fee. But I don't think that is even a conversation yet. I think we have a lot of value in Tyler Technologies. It can do a lot more things than CIC can.
So what, you're not including this in the cost savings?
No. I think these were just things that we talked about originally. So no cost savings there. Vermont Systems is another point-of-sale system that we have at all the different locations: Buck Run, Golf Course, the pool, city. There's not a lot of software companies out there, point-of-sale systems, that truly deal with recreational type facilities. Matter of fact, I was at a ball tournament this weekend, and I asked the little girl behind the counter, I said, "What do you guys use?" I said, "Do you use RecTrack?" And she looked at me like, "How do you know that?" So it's very common point-of-sale system. So I do not feel like we would have any savings there either. The next one is Crawcan. That is where I do think we can see some savings. If you see that our annual fee is $30,000 a year, but that includes several locations. It's like 4 or 5 locations that are part of that number. So that's why we think we can cut that in half if we were to move over there.
And I'm sorry, I saw your original numbers, and I don't think I cut it in half because we're not going to use Crawcan at all these places, or
because we can renegotiate the contract in 18 months. And we've already started the discussion with them, and I think they are
because they're already at the county as well, right?
Yes, they're at the county, and we have a line that is owned by the city and county between the 2 buildings, and so that wasn't taken into consideration, I think, when our contract was written. And so that's where we think we can have some savings, because they're actually using our space, our line, to run internet. I don't know how that all works. Yeah.
We ran a line whenever they set up the fiber, and the county ran some, and so
yeah.
You think that was never part of the, whoever negotiated never even?
Since
factored
I wasn't
in?
here, it's really hard for me to know. I just know that we've brought them back to the table and are definitely having discussions now.
And I don't understand all the lines in the cable, but this would be just for the city hall internet where the savings would be, the $30,000 for 2020.
We would not have 30. It'd be about half of
I
that.
understand, but
Yeah.
the rest of them though would remain the same.
No, those are. So I think those costs will not even exist anymore because we've gone to a city county shared, and so they will be doing that type of work rather than having Crocan. We would have to outsource a lot of our network type issues. And so I think Shane, and if we contract potentially with another outsource service, we won't see those expenses.
At all.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
One thing that he doesn't have listed on here is AT&T. We currently pay a lot of money to AT&T. We still have the old Plexar system, which we should not have been paying as we were going through looking at our telephone bills. That was one of the things that Shane pointed out, and that would be over $6,000 in savings that we would have on the Plexar system. And then we'd also be able to cut our bills in half across the city. So by just going with Crocan. So we're going to have significant savings in telephone. And so our thought process was that with those savings, the rent that we're having to pay to the county, which I look as an investment in that facility, would be almost like a wash because we're going to have those savings, but yet we're going to put it into a building fund.
So you're projecting to save how much on the utilities?
It's going to be a wash.
It's complete straight across. By the time you pay rent, that's
Mhm.
about what we're paying in utilities here.
Well, you're still going to pay utilities here.
And we
No,
had,
no. We're just talking about right now. We're just talking about a move of the city hall to the courthouse.
Okay.
I want to make sure we don't get two things tied up into one.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
can't make one decision without knowing
Right.
the other one.
Right.
Why can't you?
Well, because you can't say if these are actual savings if you're going to move something else into this building that.
Okay, so let's get on this real quick. So where did it come up moving anything into here?
Because we have a need.
Okay, so even if we don't move, we still have a need.
Yes.
How would that need be fulfilled if we don't move?
You would have to expand onto your current facility, which would cost you $350,000 to $400,000 to expand onto that facility.
So when we look at this, we need to look at the future, not just right now. So
yes, I agree.
even if we move and the police department moves in here, that is a need that's being fulfilled in the future. So that's what we call looking ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that saves possible. I mean, that's what we need to do is think if this can save 400,000 in the future. I mean, if we're talking about both things, then yeah.
Yeah, and it really revolves around, and I think that's in his presentation. I hate to.
yeah, no, you're
talk
fine.
about
I mean,
it.
we can jump ahead a little bit, but
Okay.
So why are we? I guess I am 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late. I'm just not used to 4 o'clock in the afternoon meetings. But so you're talking about the police department moving into this facility?
Yes.
and
Is it-
This is the first that's come up.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did
Well,
this?
You heard.
no, and this is these
Same
are
time
conversations. Let me kind of jump ahead here. The next couple of slides we're going to kind of touch on this, but these are conversations that we've been having with our police department, specifically the city manager and the police chief, and whereby they have a need of an additional amount of storage space for their evidence. Currently, they are both housed, both public safety, being police and fire, in the same building. And the future hope was that we would inherit that. What was that building right next to the fire?
CHC's urgent
CHC.
need.
Fines liquor.
Yes, and so we would potentially have expanded into that space. However, given that City Hall would essentially be vacant if we were to move, then we asked the question, well, would it be more beneficial possibly to have the police department operate out of this location? And so again, these are just discussions that we've been having behind
Would it be
closed
safe?
doors.
Would it be safe to say that whatever expenses for the police department here would offset any future expense that we would have had anyways?
Say that
Correct.
again.
Because
And so when you keep saying it's not necessarily a saving of money because we got to move the police department here, however, that was already in the talk, you said you guys had talks about this for a while now.
Yes, because ultimately, long term, they're going to have. Right now, they are storing their evidence in several locations.
So there's going to be a separate at some point they're going to need a separate location anyways.
Yes,
Okay.
they would need a separate location that we had hoped could be.
Yep.
We could utilize the existing space in the public safety department for that purpose.
I would hope that we're not talking about moving the police department in here just because we're running out of space to store evidence.
No, I
We
think
have
No.
a garage out behind the police department. We have
it's full.
that, and that's fine. But I'm just saying garages are pretty cheap compared to overhead in this place.
This place isn't very. It doesn't have a lot of overhead. It really doesn't. You pay your gas and electric is about $5,000 a year, and then you'll have.
See, to me, this is two separate issues right now because we have the city moving over there, but you've been talking about the police department having another building for years.
For years.
Years. And so that's been a
Because-
separate issue. And so to me, it's two separate issues right now. I say if this is something we decide to do, I mean, and I'm actually for the police department moving here after looking at it because in 5-10 years, whatever, I don't want to have to spend.
Well, the problem, I think what we got to step back and look at is we have evidence in places that it should not be.
Right.
There is a huge chance that it can get destroyed.
So just for
Without disclosing where it's at,
Yeah.
it could easily get destroyed, and then
Right.
you've messed up several cases. And so the idea was to get it into a secure 24/7 location.
so what you're saying is moving City Hall to the courthouse is an extra benefit for the police department.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Although
If
I'm
we-
going to propose another
Yep.
possibility, which is you move the police department to courthouse instead of the city hall. But I'd like to see the numbers about that too. It's a secure place. It's got plenty of space, and it only requires one move instead of two. But that's just we need to look at the logistics of what's going on, where everybody's going to workflows are, and all those kind of things as well.
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead and go on to the
Oh,
next
sure,
slide.
sure.
Proposed location.
And we can always come back around to that. But looking at the next slide, we were talking about the proposed location of staff. We looked at utilizing both the first and the second floor. If you'll see the arrow with the N there, that being north, and essentially what will be to the east would obviously be National. Is that National? Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So on that first floor, on the northernmost entrance, on the east side of the building, those red dots represent the 4 spaces that we would potentially utilize. Immediately when you walk into the left, that would be where the clerk, potentially alley, and also potentially a shared HR service, which that's a different part of our discussion that we'll touch on here shortly. And immediately straight down the hall when you come down, when you enter from the east side, the northeast corner of the building, that furthest section there would be the utility clerk. So we would have 4 individuals there that are city employees, and that's on the first floor. So that's all we would have on the first floor. On the second floor, where we propose using, or the space that we propose to utilize, again, with the orientation northbound, the southeast corner of the second floor would be essentially the city manager's office as well as a potential meeting room because it is a fairly large space. Immediately west of that on the second floor would be an office where Susan, Devin, Janet, and Ashley would be housed in that location. The reason we did it this way is because the second floor is a totally secure location. And the first floor is more customer or citizen facing. So those individuals who have the most interaction with the community would be obviously the city clerk, alley, and HR, and other, and the utility clerk. So that's the reason that we broke it up that way. So those are the areas that we're proposing staff be relocated to. The current proposed use of City Hall, which is kind of where we left off a second ago, we've had some kind of preliminary discussions with the police department, and they are potentially very excited about this space because it would fit their needs both from a parking standpoint. As far as enforcing the law, they actually do that usually from a patrol basis is what the chief has kind of shared with me. So he doesn't believe that there will be any logistical issues with them continuing to, enforce the law and serve the community. There are obviously some associated costs that we still have to determine in terms of relocating servers, furniture removal, or moving, and additional security if needed. The chief hasn't shared with me any security costs that he see would be significant. We already have controlled access to the front and back. There's a fob system, so it wouldn't be extensive. And so we think there would be some costs, obviously, but those are things that we're still working out. As far as the existing police station, the current use, obviously being public safety, police, and fire, future potential use or expansion of that facility might allow greater space for police storage and evidence, as well as potentially an indoor training facility for our current fire department. Currently, their training facility or their weight room is a building that is outside of, in the rear, I think that would be the west of their facility outside. So they have to walk through either the heat or the cold, whichever the case, and go to a very small facility to train. And obviously, it's a benefit for them to train because we want them to be in shape when it comes to rescues and things like that. And there also is the potential for future expansion in terms of use for the fire department. So there are a lot of existing uses that the fire department could take advantage of in that building, and that's kind of the train of thought that we had. And again, I kind of jumped ahead earlier when we kind of touched on this, but currently evidence is stored in several locations around the city. This would allow us to put all of our evidence in one location. It would be under 24/7 surveillance because the fire department would be stationed there 24/7. So there would be controlled access. We wouldn't have to invest in any additional security measures outside of locked, controlled electronic access. So we think it would work, and it would kind of feed into what we're trying to do here in terms of City Hall relocating to the county, if that is your choice. We currently already shared services with the county. Obviously, Susan serves as the county's business director, handling all of their finance issues as well as our finance issues. So this proposed sharing of space wouldn't be anything outside of a direction that we've already headed. We would still maintain all of our financial processes separately. So there are some concerns out there of individuals saying, well, this is the city and the county joining. Well, this is us being in the same building. That's literally the end of it. In terms of IT, there is a contract on the agenda tonight for consideration by the commission, and that would outline the services which this gentleman here is providing to us. We potentially could share a HR director, and that's something that the county has expressed an interest in as well. Now, we are currently putting out a job description, and we're trying to hire a new HR director. And if we shared this individual, it would be an MOU that we would essentially create between the two organizations. We could probably even use Susan's current existing MOU as a framework for that. It would really be as simple as changing the amount, the name, and the duties of the position. So we already have the documentation we need to move forward if we choose to do that. And so there were lots of questions that were posed, some questions that are going to take a little bit more time to figure out in terms of logistics of the move. We have a lot of internal resources, so we don't feel that there will be any major difficulty with the exception of relocating servers to the county or to this building, actually, if the police were to come here. As far as the true savings of the relocation, some of those numbers are very, very hard to pin down. We can project, we have a good idea roughly where those numbers would be, but we don't know exactly what those costs will be until we actually move forward. I've tried to address what will be done with the existing City Hall building, where staff would be located, and as far as public access to the new location, we would have both entrances, one on the southeast corner of the county building, one on the northeast, and there is also parking as well as entrance on the west side of the building. And we also have dispatch currently at the county building. So we're already doing a lot together. I think this will be a savings in a lot of ways. I think it would be convenient. But again, it's the commission that makes that decision, so it's ultimately what you think. So that's kind of in a nutshell the things that we thought of, and we'd love to entertain questions if you have any.
Does anybody have any questions, Randy?
Is there
Yes, go ahead. Steve.
is there room in the courthouse now for the? I'm guessing the answer is no, but for the police along with us and not utilize this building. I just know the more buildings you have, the more expense you have, and we're always trying to tighten the belt. So, if we had a chance to move this building,
I would say no because of the logistics. We can't go we would take up all the space, all the remaining space other than the basement, and then the basement would not be accessible to the public, of which the police department would probably need to have that access.
I know dispatch obviously has to have.
They just have one little room, and there's no other. The other room is in the emergency management room that's available, and then there's really nothing else that I saw that could be converted to police.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
we've participated in several tours. Myself and Randy, we walked through it a little bit, as well as Josh and I, and so we've looked at it extensively. I don't think there will be any additional space to move everyone into that building.
Well, I've got a lot of concerns.
Sure.
So, you want me to? I mean, other questions, the logistics, I think meant not only about the move itself, but how are the people going to be stationed in the building? Where are they going to be? How's the public going to access them? Contractually, we're obligated to use the parking lot by the post office, the one at the south end of the building, and or you mentioned across the street, which means that people don't have the same access to that building that they have at this one.
No, I think real quick, they're asking the employees to park in those.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So people are going to park then along that north margin, and they're going to come into the north door then.
And that's where the majority of the services will be.
And is that always going to be monitored, or as it currently is? Is there any? And I'm asking a question I don't know the answer to. Several years ago, we went through this thing that the courthouse had to be protected. It had to have a metal detector and a Humvee and a cannon or
Not
something
anymore.
there. I don't know what all needed, but so is a single access now covered, and so that's fills that need?
that is, I can answer that question real quick. So, in order to get to the second floor, you have to you would have to be an employee of the city or have to be allowed to go upstairs. Just a general citizen couldn't just go upstairs to see the city manager or the finance department. Idea would be that if the city manager needed to meet with somebody, they could come down to that meeting room where economic development is and have those meetings there to meet the public. But if you're staff or you have a badge, you would be able to go to the second floor.
So I didn't understand the drawing. Those two offices on the south end of the first floor are also going to be utilized by us?
Yes.
South end.
I didn't.
Everything in red right here. So this is where your city clerk, who sees the public a lot for municipal court, Allie for community development, and HR would need to see staff. Be accessible for both staff, so public or for county and city if we do a shared service. And the utility clerk, who meets the public a lot. This is all just right here in this front door. And then they could turn and go right here and go into the treasurer's office and pay their taxes.
This is the north end of the building.
Yes.
Yeah, which we're not contractually allowed to use, but that's a whole different thing.
But this is what there's been discussions, and yes, we are contractually able to use.
Not by this contract, we're not.
So it would need to be updated.
Yeah. Okay, so the south end of the building on the first floor, we're not using at all.
We would be. South end, you're going to use that little area. It's called the IT room, and it has economic development and break room. So that's going to be where the city manager would come down to have meetings or whatever he needed to in that area.
Why did the county move out of those offices?
I know the IT he's pretty by himself. He said the problem was people would stop by there all day and just chit chat, and people just come in and talk to him. And so, being IT wanted a more secure place, they moved out to the trailer. The main reason was that trailer's probably more sought after when the health department moved to a bigger location. So,
You know, the county's abandoned all those offices, all of them on that south end of the building, and all
No,
of them on
they're
the
all
south
occupied.
end.
They're all occupied. You have the deeds office, you have the ag thing's been there 87 years, and you have the appraiser's office. So they've
That's right.
all been occupied forever.
They're still in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
When we walked through the other day, I couldn't see that
Yep.
there were people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Who's in
So
the
we-
county attorney's old office?
Upstairs.
They're being used.
No, I'm saying who's downstairs in the county attorney's old office where
Oh.
Shannon was.
That's what's going to be turned into a break room economic development.
But I'm saying there's no one currently in the room.
No, no, right now it's just storage for IT, to be quite honest.
So where's,
Pete, you
where's the
jump
co-
in.
where's the commission room?
It would be where the treasurer's office is right now.
Where's that?
As soon as you come in on the
Where's
northeast,
that on
oh, first floor, you're looking at the right page. Just let me
Right here, Pete. See the red dot right here? It'd be this room right here.
That's the commission room?
And it's twice the size of this room. It's not to scale. This is just for,
Now, this is just a general layout of what the floor looks like, but no, it is not. to
I'd say
scale.
it's about 1.5 the time size of this room.
yeah, definitely.
Hey, I'm sorry, Pete, I didn't follow. So the commission room, is that where the county commission is currently meeting?
No,
Oh,
No,
someplace
they
else.
would move to a bigger location to help accommodate, since we usually have more people.
it's where you would
Oh.
go to pay your taxes right now. That's what the commission room would be.
I'm sorry.
The county treasurer's office currently right now would be the commission room. It's big.
The what room?
The county the treasurer's office.
When you first go in the big doors to the right,
Uh-huh.
that's going to be where the meetings are?
No.
No,
That's-
not where you,
You know
go,
where the
not
meetings
the
are
clerk.
now? You know where the meetings are now?
Yes.
You know where you're supposed to go pay your taxes?
What? Supposed to? What do you mean?
that's
I
what
You
paid
buy your
money.
license tax.
You buy your
Yes,
tax.
that.
Yeah, that room.
You know where that is.
Oh,
would be
that's where we're going to be, have the
would be
meeting rooms?
commission room, yeah.
Yes,
So they're moving the tag office out of there.
yes.
Yes.
Where's the tag office go?
To where the commission moved, because it's smaller.
Okay.
You probably never find.
But there's actually an office back there for
There's offices all back
so
in
it's set up
behind.
so the treasurer can be a little more.
Right, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that big open area would be like the commission room.
No.
And all them things in that treasurer's room would be moved over, and so it'd be a
And
big
part of
open
that
room.
has to be because we have to accommodate court too, so court would be held there.
So it would be a nice big flowing area to where you could come in and kind of a one-stop shop thing. You could
Yes, that's
do
the
all,
idea.
you pay your city
Water
bills, your
bill.
county bills, get
Yes.
your vehicle taken care of, driver's license right around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it sounds really good.
Did that answer your question, Pete?
Yeah. I didn't see it listed.
No. Yeah.
Does anybody talk to the other employees at the city to see about the efficiencies of their job and how this is going to work? It sounds like we're going to have some blended areas where there's county and city staff.
In terms of the efficiency of the jobs, we've discussed it in department head meetings, but not specifically asking the question, has your efficiency, is it going to be improved or made worse? No, not asked that exact question, but no one has expressed concerns with that.
Diane and Rachel, I mean to put you on the spot. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Okay. Diane, have you even looked at it? What are your, if you, I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, so maybe you don't want to answer.
I'm probably concerned, we don't work the same hours, we work 8 to 5, they work 8:30 to 4:30.
Right.
We don't have the same holidays, the same.
Yep, and that's been talked, and it would be open. I mean, it's not like they will open up the building every day. It will be a shared thing. So, who opens up right now?
David.
I mean, here.
Oh, any of us.
Yeah, yeah, and so I mean, everyone would have access, to my knowledge, and so it'd be opened up just like the same. So,
So there is an alarm system, but so we disarm the building and come in and leave.
yeah, I'm assuming if there is one, you just keep disarming it there, and if not, then but I'm not for sure 100%.
Well, and that's just one of a few questions that obviously
Yeah.
we could pursue.
I do think I get a lot of confusion between the county appraisers, just on the drop off applications here, even though it states
They
where to
drop
take
off
them.
there.
I mean, part of, you could see that either way. You could see it that, then you just go down the hall. So a lot of people are already confused, I think, the county and the city.
Right.
They're in between.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it. If that will lead to more confusion
More help. Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I think something else you need to think about is the amount of elderly people that come in here to pay a water bill. A lot of people, it's a social event for them to come in. I mean, they get, sorry,
Yeah, sorry.
I just said, I think you need to consider the amount of older people that come in to pay a water bill. It's easy to get in this building. A lot of people, that's an outing for them when they're older, is to
Yeah,
come in here to pay. I mean, a lot of people still come in and pay with cash.
Yeah. And I've asked a few of them, of course not many, and a lot of them see that same thing there, say they don't see why they can't do the same thing there, and then while they're there, instead of having to come here to pay the water bill and then go pay their taxes or driver's renew tags, they can do it there. And so I guess I don't see why they wouldn't be able to have the same service there as they do here, unless I'm missing something. But
I just don't think it's a very user-friendly building, especially with the locks on the second floor that we just can't access. You can't get there without a code key or a bodyguard. So,
well, this time of day, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, that's
And
a
those
non-public
people-
access, and
The
you really
people
don't
on
want.
the second floor are not really, do not need to be accessible to
The public.
That's why we purposely put those people there.
And, when, just a prime example, when Susan's working through the budget, which she's been doing for some time now, and we've been working through the budget, it's very hard to handle the multiple interruptions, because her door is just right there. You can always just go in. So if she knows you're coming in advance, and she can meet you in advance or schedule a time to sit down with you that doesn't really disturb her schedule, I think that's beneficial to efficiency from a finance standpoint.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Randy, are you on your list still?
no,
What do we need
again,
to do?
I guess the only thing I didn't get answered was, is it a closed building? Is the only access through that north door?
You have the north, the east, and the south.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And
so you have
they
more
don't
access.
have to be locked in some way. I thought they were monitoring everybody that came in or out.
They
so-
were during COVID, but they're not now.
So it's now free reign into there because they have the guy upstairs that
No, he's actually on.
monitors the court.
He's actually on first floor.
Well,
Well,
but
he
the
actually-
court itself
He's not no more.
is protected.
Oh, he moved.
Yeah.
He moved up.
Yeah,
He's
after
probably
COVID
moved
and
back up to
everything,
third.
because of COVID, they're seeing more cases, so they moved him back up to the
Second
Third.
floor.
third floor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the guy that takes your pliers and pocket knives and all that.
Pete, did you get your questions answered?
Yeah.
Okay. I still don't think we clarified all the issues about the
What do you think
police move
this-
and the cost of doing that.
What do you think the true savings of moving City Hall to there would be?
If you do nothing with this building,
Yeah.
you could save about $37,000.
Because you can almost say whatever we do with this building is going to be an offset, because we got to do something with the police department anyways, whether we do it here or somewhere else. And actually, you think moving it here would actually save us a few $100,000.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
because
It's a building it's already paid for.
Yeah.
It's in pretty good shape.
And what does Travis think about this building?
I think it has low overhead.
He's more excited about it than we are.
So the police
we-
department is happy.
Yeah, they would love to have this building. At least that's what Travis has expressed to me.
You've got people sitting on
It's-
top of each other in that building.
So this is almost.
I mean, you've got people crammed. I don't know if you've been down there and looked at how the police
Yeah.
department is set up. They are
Yeah,
crammed
several
into
times.
low. Yeah.
Yeah, but you just can't,
How
you
many
can't
times
count
have
that
you
as an
visited
absolute
there?
Bottom line savings to the city though, because the move is we're still going to have to finance this building. I mean, you could say, well, we saved $100,000 not building something else, but you still have
Well,
the cost.
we could not
moving this
we could
building.
not move them here and just sell the building. Then it'd be an absolute cost, right?
Yeah.
And then in 3 years, when they need a bigger building, we can look at it then and possibly waste 200,000.
That's why I think you gotta.
And you don't know.
But you gotta. But what I'm saying is, you gotta look at that even if we don't move.
Building costs, I mean, building costs are gonna be,
I mean, whether we move or not, the police department topic's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Which again gets me back to the one issue that we haven't looked at was, is there a cost savings if the police go into the courthouse and not us?
I just
It's
don't
not
think,
here.
I don't think it works with the setup that they
Yeah,
have
my
and the
fear
space
is
availability.
the safety and the security they need, and to be with access from everyone. And I'm just speaking for Travis, which I don't know is true, but I would just think being by themselves in one secure place would be, and this is set up perfectly for.
Sure protect the courts a lot better if they were there. Okay, I think my questions were answered.
All right, is there anything else? No? All right, I guess we'll call